In just 5 years, China has gone from making that, whatever it is, to making these. Now, with that rate of progress, where are they going to be in 5 years' time?
Well, that does take us back to our original question, actually. So, in 5 years' time, everybody will be driving Chinese cars. Yes, we probably will.
We are doomed.
China's 1/3. It's 30 million vehicles. It's twice the size of Europe and the UK combined.
Wow.
And they have 58 million units of capacity built out already. So
wow.
They can export 28 or 29 million vehicles. And that is larger than Europe, all of the UK, and most of Mexico, part of the US, and all the companies wouldn't have to build one vehicle. And they don't have to build any more factories. That's the factories they have today.
Right. That is huge, isn't it? Yeah.
Before most people even realized what was happening, China had already raced ahead and become the global leader in electric vehicles. And the momentum hasn't slowed down one bit. In 2023, nearly 60% of all new electric car registrations happened in China, compared to just 25% in Europe and a mere 10% in the US. That's almost 95% of all global electric car sales combined. In China, more than 1 in 3 new car registrations were electric in 2023, with a staggering 8.1 million new EVs hitting the road, a 35% increase from the previous year. But here's the big question. How did China pull this off? How did a country once known for making low-quality cars that no one cared about turn into a global powerhouse in the auto industry in just a decade? Sure, many people point to government subsidies, but that's just part of the story. Other countries offer subsidies too, but their EV adoption rates are nowhere near China's. So, what's the secret? In this video, we're going to uncover exactly how China won the EV race, and trust me, it's not what you think. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more fascinating insights. Let's get into how China electrified its entire nation. The big bet, an early entry to the game. In the early 2000s, China's car industry was stuck in an awkward spot. While it was a manufacturing powerhouse for traditional internal combustion vehicles, it didn't have any domestic brands that could challenge the big foreign players dominating the market. China realized that it wasn't going to outpace US, German, and Japanese automakers in the traditional car space, especially when it came to engine innovation. So, what did they do? They took a bold risk. They bet on the future of EVs, an area that was still in its infancy. At the time, EVs were niche, experimental models from companies like GM and Toyota, often discontinued after a few years. But China saw huge potential in breaking away from the established tech and jumped headfirst into an entirely new, high-risk venture: cars powered by batteries. By 2001, the Chinese government had already made EV technology a priority in its 5-year plan, setting the stage for an all-in push into the future of transportation. Now, most people attribute China's dominance in the EV market to its lead in battery technology and raw materials. While that's certainly a big part of it, the real secret to China's success is its early and strategic entry into the industry. Back in the early 2000s, China saw where the world was headed with electric vehicles and didn't waste any time. They started investing in crucial resources like cobalt, a key material for batteries. By around 2008, Chinese companies were already sinking money into cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which produces more than 70% of the world's cobalt. This gave China a major advantage, securing a steady, low-cost supply of materials while other countries were still debating whether EVs would ever take off. Norway's success in EV adoption is a bit surprising, given its cold climate where batteries struggle to perform and don't last as long as gas vehicles. You'd think it would be one of the last places to embrace electric cars, but instead, Norway, along with Iceland and Sweden, leads the world in EV adoption. In 2022, 80% of all car sales in Norway were electric, with 150,000 sold. How did this happen? It's because Norway's government started promoting EVs way back in 1990, long before most others. With ambitious goals, including phasing out gas-powered cars by 2025, Norway set the pace. And much like Norway, China succeeded by committing early, with consistent planning and government backing, ensuring they dominate the EV market. Meanwhile, in places like the US, competing with China is tough because of constant policy shifts. One administration may champion green energy, only for the next one to pull back. Long-term planning becomes a challenge. Meanwhile, China's centralized government stayed laser-focused on the EV market, creating a vertically integrated supply chain from raw materials to manufacturing. This consistency gave China a huge edge, positioning them as the dominant force in the global battery and EV race. It's not just about subsidies. A lot of people think China became the biggest market for electric vehicles because of government subsidies, but the truth is, many other countries have similar policies without the same success. China actually got into the EV game a bit later than the US, but they took a different approach. While both countries offered incentives for companies and consumers, Chinese companies didn't just follow the rules, they rewrote the playbook. So what made China's EV market skyrocket? It's all about how early innovators in China saw the operational challenges that come with EVs and worked hand in hand with local governments to fix them. Sure, government policies aim to speed up the adoption of new tech like EVs, but these innovations often come with practical roadblocks. Take Europe, for example. Countries like the Netherlands were quick to offer tax incentives and rebates to encourage EV adoption. But research showed that even with these perks, taxi drivers still weren't sold on full EVs. Why? Because of operational issues like short driving ranges and long charging times. These concerns often outweighed the environmental benefits and perks of EVs, like quieter engines and no need for oil or battery changes. China, on the other hand, found ways to solve these problems. In 2009, the government introduced a policy similar to those in Europe, offering subsidies for hybrid and electric cars in cities like Beijing and Xi'an. But China didn't stop there. They went the extra mile by partnering with taxi companies to tackle the real-world challenges of EVs. For instance, rather than just placing charging stations, Chinese EV makers worked directly with taxi companies to improve battery technologies and create more efficient charging schedules. By introducing a two-shift system for EV taxis, one fleet in the morning and one in the evening, they maximized battery use. The morning fleet would be charged after 8 p.m., and the evening fleet around 2 a.m., when the city's power consumption was lower. This system not only solved battery constraints, but also helped balance the city's power grid by avoiding peak energy demand. What many people don't realize is that China's success in the EV race wasn't just about subsidies. It was about how the government worked to create real solutions to both the tech and operational issues that come with EV adoption. They focused on solving the tricky details, like optimizing battery performance and strategically placing charging stations, all while working closely with local businesses. Think about it. Even with rising EV adoption, most automakers are still struggling to transition from gas-powered cars to a mix of ICE, hybrid, and EV models. That's because many countries only focus on sales numbers instead of tackling the deeper challenges that EV owners face, like making sure cars can actually go the distance and ensuring there's a charging station where and when it's needed. China got ahead because they were all about the details, and it's that focus that's helped them dominate the EV market today. And that's how China pulled ahead in the EV race. While the US and EU have accused China of unfair competition due to subsidies, they've overlooked the real reason behind China's success, the innovative technical solutions that have made EV adoption a reality. China didn't just throw money at the problem, they built a solid foundation with smart, long-term strategies that the rest of the world missed. So what do you think? Do you agree that China's win in the EV market is about more than just subsidies? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more content like this.